Hello, I'm Simon Whistler, you're watching TopTenzNet, and in the video today we're looking at the top 10 fictional presidents who would be way better for America than Trump or Clinton. Given my status as an outsider to the American political spectrum, I'm British, I'm in a position to say that I don't really have a big stake in who becomes president next year. Which means I can dump all over the candidates from both sides of the political spectrum instead of just the side I personally don't like. However, rather than mocking the current presidential candidates' policies or faces, I'm going to compare them to these 10 fictional presidents that are way cooler than they could ever hope to be. Presidents like
Number 10. Michael Wilson. Hailing from a Japan-exclusive Xbox game called Metal Wolf Chaos, seriously, Michael Wilson is both a distant relative of former President Woodrow Wilson and the son of the previous president, who, during his tenure as leader of the free world, decided to build a giant bronze statue of himself on the White House lawn to show how modest he was. In other words, there's not going to be any Obama or Cruz-esque birther controversy with this guy because his birth certificate literally lists his father's occupation as freaking president. To further demonstrate that he bleeds red, white, and blue and absolutely isn't a communist or, heaven forbid, a socialist, Wilson punctuates every sentence he says with a reference to how great America is. Oh, and he also pilots a giant mech suit decorated with the American flag livery called Metal Wolf. I probably should have opened with that, shouldn't I? In fact, we should probably open every video with that fact because it's so awesome. The basic plot of the game is that Wilson's vice president Richard Hawke stages a coup d'etat, convinces the military he's a terrorist, declares martial law, and then begins selling off US citizens into overseas white slavery, and none of that is hyperbole. Wilson responds by climbing into his mech suit and saving America by traveling across America, freeing captured American citizens, by shooting at them with giant guns and destroying American military hardware by punching it with Metal Wolf's oversized robot fists. A feat which would no doubt earn him major props with all those annoying Second Amendment activists you see on Facebook by serving as the only example they'd ever need of guns being used to save lives in the hands of a responsible American citizen who also has the benefit of being inside a totally indestructible robotic suit. Number 9. The Big Guy. Known simply as the Big Guy, both because of his stature and the fact that he's the president, this unnamed man serves as the president in the book World War Z. You know, that book written by the guy who thinks he knows more about zombies than George Romero that was turned into an incredibly disappointing film. Despite becoming president during the middle of a literal apocalypse after the previous president wigs out, President Big staunchly refuses to use his presidential powers to grant himself effectively unlimited power and instead holds an election, arguing that America was founded on the principles of democracy and freedom and that he wouldn't want to lead the country if those ideals weren't upheld in a soothing Jamaican accent. Unsurprisingly, he wins the next election by a total landslide, as is wont to happen when your only campaign policy is the utter eradication of the undead hordes chowing down on American buttholes and to make America great again. See, Trump, you're so close to getting it right. You just need to replace the word Muslims with zombies in your speeches and also become a burly black man with a kick-ass Jamaican accent. Number 8. President Booth. One of the burdens of being president is that unless you win in a landslide, around 50% of the population is going to hate you regardless of what you do because you're the wrong color politically, or in Barack Obama's case, literally. In such situations, the only thing a good president can do is keep their campaign promises and lead America the best they can. President Robert Booth from the Judge Dredd series is a sterling example of this sort of mindset. Despite winning via fraud, Booth stuck to his initial campaign promise of making assault, battery, and all other crimes legal, so long as they happened on a sporting field during competition, effectively legalizing death sports, finally. Booth is eventually ousted when he declares nuclear war on every other country on Earth to steal their oil reserves, essentially doing what every current Republican candidate is trying to convince voters they'd have the balls to do if they were in charge. While this eventually ends badly for President Booth, with him being put into suspended animation beneath Fort Knox for 100 years for starting an atomic war, he does end his presidency with 100% of his initial campaign promises fulfilled, which technically makes him one of the greatest presidents of all time. Number 7. President Dale. Played by Jack Nicholson in the film Mars Attacks, President Dale is an anomaly amongst fictional presidents, given that he's one of the only, if not the only, fictional president I can think of that implores peace and understanding when Earth is attacked by Martians, instead of instantly resorting to dooming the world to unending nuclear winter. Now, if you're currently thinking that this makes Dale a weak president and that he should have listened to his general and used America's nuclear arsenal to bomb the Martians the second they displayed any hostility whatsoever, You're an idiot. From the moment the Martians in Mars Attacks land on Earth, it is established that they are superior to humanity in almost every way and are able to vaporize an entire army with a handheld ray gun that turns people into skeletons. This is a species that has utterly mastered warfare, so there is no winning a fight against them, and President Dale seems to be the only person who is able to see that, even putting himself at considerable personal risk in an attempt to save as many American lives as possible by actually attempting to negotiate with the Martian leader at gunpoint. His attempt ultimately fails, he's killed, and the Martian invasion is halted when someone discovers that a song makes their head explode, but that's not the point. The point is that upon coming into contact with another species, President Dale makes every possible attempt to coexist peacefully with them so that the entire Earth doesn't get destroyed by an advanced race of superior beings. You may not agree with President Dale's actions, but being president involves doing things for the greater good that others may not agree with. It just so happens that in this case, the thing others didn't agree with was kissing a Martian's ass. Number 6. President Patricia Caldwell. Like many fictional presidents, Patricia Caldwell from the Splinter Cell series is loosely based on a real-life person, in this case Hillary Clinton. While the two are physically similar, their policies couldn't be more different, by which I mean President Caldwell actually tells you what hers are. While Clinton has remained, to quote The Atlantic, evasive on her position on things like the NSA and secretly spying on US citizens, President Caldwell, who, according to the in-universe law, was elected on a platform of bipartisan cooperation and disentanglement from pointless foreign conflicts, makes her position on the subject abundantly clear by disbanding a rogue government element known as Third Echelon, which is basically the super NSA. Caldwell also refuses to bend to the whim of big multinational corporations, while Clinton's campaign relies partly on donations from them or government agencies to the point that they unsuccessfully try to have her assassinated. And you know you're a good president when the bad guys in the Splinter Cell game are trying to kill you. Number 5. President Tom Dobbs. Played by the late great Robin Williams in the film Man of the Year, Tom Dobbs is a Jon Stewart-esque talk show host and comedian who unknowingly becomes president due to a computer glitch when he campaigns to become president as a joke. When confronted with the fact that he became president due to a glitch and not through legitimate or honest means, Dobbs ultimately makes the decision to step down as president, even though he personally believes that the man who will take his place is more servile to special interest groups than the American people. That's how much this man loves America. Dobbs also goes all Bernie Sanders on his opponents during debates, angrily lambasting his opponents for relying on donations from big companies instead of regular Americans, and criticizing the US's reliance on fossil fuels, ensuring that even the people who aren't necessarily supportive of his politics or ideas are at least made aware of the unbelievable amounts of crap that goes on behind the political curtain. That isn't necessarily an endorsement of Bernie Sanders as much as it is us urging more people to yell at politicians when they aren't honest during debates. Number 4. President Doom. Appearing in the short-lived Doom 2099 comic series, the titular Victor Von Doom returns from an unknown point in space-time in the year 2099, a century after disappearing quite mysteriously with a singular goal: saving the Earth by conquering the hell out of it. After building himself an even cooler suit powered by a combination of nuclear power, magic, and his own sense of self-satisfaction, Doom reconquers Latveria, instilling himself as monarch before turning his attention to America. Doom effortlessly becomes president, mainly due to the strength and popularity of his oppose me and be obliterated by lasers policy, and to be honest, actually makes a pretty good go of it for a guy with the most ominous-sounding last name ever. One of Doom's first acts as president is helping to solve the country's financial crisis by gathering up the corrupt CEOs and Wall Street fat cats responsible for putting America's economy in the toilet and telling them to vote amongst themselves for who they feel is responsible so that he can kill them with his bare hands, because that is how you ensure the bankers know that screwing the economy is not okay and ensure they never do it again. Doom also actually fixes America's infrastructure problems instead of just promising to do so, like so many current candidates, by installing teleporters in every major US city before destroying a company responsible for experimenting on humans, which I'm assuming is a pretty good way to endear people to you. Doom also makes Ghost Rider, a demonic entity incapable of harming the innocent, to serve as a federal marshal, which is just a smart move overall, considering having your soul consumed by a flaming skeleton is a pretty good way to discourage criminal activity and thus lower the number of people needing to be sent to prison. Number 3. President Frankenstein. In the fictional universe of the 1975 film Death Race 2000, Mr. President, that's literally what the president of this universe is called, rules America with an iron fist and oversees the titular Death Race, a cross-country race where the goal is to run over as many people as possible for points. A racer called Frankenstein, played by David Carradine, plans to change this by winning the race and assassinating the president, which he accomplishes by running him over with his car as he's in the middle of declaring war on France. For some reason, the Death Race universe also operates on Highlander logic, and Frankenstein is inexplicably declared the new president, while the body of the previous president is still lodged in the grill. Although he's only president for 4 minutes of screen time and he didn't even have time to prepare a speech or anything, President Frankenstein abolishes the death race, promises to rebuild America, and then commits his first act of officially sanctioned presidential murder by running over a guy trying to insist that the death race shouldn't be abolished because it's an American way of life, even though it kills thousands of innocent people every year and every other country on Earth thinks it's stupid. Number 2. President Baxter Harris. President Harris is the sitting president during the events of both Scary Movie 3 and 4 and is played by Leslie Nielsen. If for some reason you need more information to sway you on why he'd be a good president other than he's Leslie Nielsen, President Baxter, despite being an elderly white man, seems to enjoy almost unanimous support from both black and white Americans and appears to have no problem acknowledging the struggles and work of African Americans, as evidenced by his immediate decision to acknowledge that the Wu-Tang Clan died for their country after being hit by a rocket launcher during a shootout with some aliens. Number 1. President George Sears. A lot of potential candidates for presidency like to coast on their military service, and why wouldn't they? America loves war heroes, which is why Donald Trump, who heroically avoided being drafted for the Vietnam War and openly mocked a former POW war hero, is currently, at the time of writing, the favorite for the GOP nomination. It's arguable that no president, fictional or otherwise, can hold a candle to George Sears' war record, though, because he's a perfect clone of Big Boss, the protagonist of several Metal Gear games commonly known by the sobriquet, the greatest soldier in the world. This means technically every feat ever attributed to Big Boss or Solid Snake, another of his clones, like defeating a giant robot or punching a man made of bees to death during the 60s, can be attributed to him. Not content with literally being as good a soldier as the greatest soldier in history, Sears ensured that no president would ever be able to live up to his legacy of badassitude by dying in the most metal and patriotic way possible, being killed during a sword fight with his adopted son atop Federal Hall under the unflinching watch of a statue of George Washington. We don't even need to discuss his policies or presidency after that, because this guy could have punched a puppy on live TV every day he was in office, and it'd still be remembered as that president who died during a sick katana fight with his son.
So I really hope you enjoyed that video about fictional American presidents. If you did, check out some of our other presidential lists over there on the right. I'm sure you'll enjoy those as well. And don't forget to like this video if you did enjoy it, and also subscribe to our channel because we put out brand new content just like this 7 days a week. So be sure to check that out, and thank you for watching.